Can you talk on this online retreat to me about the intellectual awakening?
The intellectual, yeah.
Yeah, and you said, because I told you that I don't believe in myself only as a only as a sound. It's a sound, and
yeah.
my thoughts, I feel they are like sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't believe in. I heard Byron Katie and these questions: is it true?
Yeah.
And brainwashed myself. I don't believe in thinking anymore.
Yeah.
Somehow. But then you talked about it's the energy, energetical
yeah.
Awakening.
Yeah.
And yeah, you said you will not feel the separation anymore. Sometimes it will happen that you don't feel the separation. You will be oneness, I think, or something like that. So.
I don't remember our conversation.
Yeah, but
But I normally do define the two. Like I say that there's this energetical awakening and the intellectual awakening. And really it's just me trying to define two different. There's so many different awakenings that happen. I mean, even the way that you say you reconditioned yourself into not believing in your thinking, that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a huge freedom as compared to what you were before when you believed everything. Like when people are being totally thrown around by their thoughts all the time, they don't even know their thoughts. They just think that's reality. So that's a beautiful thing. But particularly the way I speak, there's two big awakenings that happen. There is this awakening that can happen where it's recognized. So I'm sure there's quite a few people had this here, where it's recognized that either that you as that separate entity aren't the experiencer of life, or that you don't exist. It's a split second where everything clears, and then it's seen so clearly that separate you isn't the experiencer. There is something else grander, bigger experiencing this, and it's kind of recognized. And after that awakening, that's always kind of tasted. Even though sometimes you feel like you've got it, you've lost it, you've tasted that. Like that's known. And I would say that's more the intellectual awakening, because it's not the energetical awakening of the seeking collapsed, but normally that happens first. Then after that, the energy of the seeker collapsed. So that energy of a person that's always trying to get things in the next moment collapse. And that's the end of suffering. That a lot of people stop at that first stage that I'm talking about, and then they think that's it. That recognition is enough.
But the other thing is nothing you can do with that. You have to. You can't feel that you will go away. Or
no, but you can't.
I don't know what.
But no, there is nothing that you can.
You said you could feel that you wasn't separate anymore. But who can do that? Who can feel that? If I don't exist.
Yeah.
That's the
that
problem.
Presence does.
But I feel I exist, but I want to fall away in the void.
But that's the really beautiful part. So it's not that the presence does, it's that the presence stops being bound in an illusion, and then everything is simply awake, but not happening to anyone anymore, and it's known and not known. I can't.
No.
But it's not so, you don't get to own it, so in no way can you claim it in time. It just, that is the way it is. Things are no longer divided, and that energy of feeling like in here, like there's something that needs to be got, disappears.
It's very strong.
Yeah, it's really strong. I mean, this is why people can work 18 hours a day, because they've got such a strong seeking energy. It's very powerful, the seeking energy. It's powerful in the sense of it makes us do so many things. So many things. It's really...
It slows down a little bit last year.
Yeah. And eventually it will just crumble the more and more it gets explored. But a lot of it is the not acting out of it. But you can't do that, because if you attempted to not act it out, then it would be seeking again.
Yeah.
It's just that the energy has less and less games to try and hold on to. So there's less places for that seeker to hide. So therefore it begins to unravel. But it's not someone's doing.